Hello and welcome to Hello OLLI, the TV show of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Berkshire Community College. My name is Megan Wilden. I'm the Executive Director, and I'm thrilled to have as our guest today Benjamin Luxen, who is a retired classical singer and general cultural troublemaker and creator in the Berkshires and all over the world. And he's going to be teaching a course for OLLI this winter called A Singer's Life. So please join me in welcoming Ben Luxen.
Thank you, Megan.
It's so nice to have you here. So Ben is going to be teaching a course called, as I said, A Singer's Life, about his career as a classical singer. And he also he's the founder and director of the Sandisfield Players.
Yeah, the founder director would be right, of the Sandisfield Players, which is actually a very real community theatre. It all happened by accident. There was no plan to form a kind of theatre company, but it just happened. Then simply because Sandisfield, where I live, had its 250th anniversary in 2012. And so there were the usual festivities of fireworks and a kind of fair and things. And at the Art Centre, we decided that we would, we have an excellent historian in town, so we had a whole lot of information about the whole history of Sandisfield. So we thought, okay, we should use it and put on some kind of program at the Art Centre. And so that's what we did, and I wrote some little sketches, to illustrate various, various periods during the history. And then we had a number of people giving out a narration, and we built a set. Most things took place in the history of the town, obviously in the store. That was sort of the meeting point.
Oh,
And so we built a storefront with a veranda on it and everything like that.
Wow, nice.
And we costumed it, moving in sort of, the first set would have been in 19th century costume, and then we moved to 20th century costume for the two parts of it. And I cajoled and persuaded and bullied a number of friends and neighbors to join in. And there were about 20, I suppose, 20 people taking part, little sketches and doing the narration and things. And so that was it. That was, it was a really nice success. And the whole place was packed out, and everyone enjoyed it very much, and we had a lot of fun. And then they came to me and said, well, what are we going to do next? And I was taken aback. Number one, I was taken aback because most of these people had never been on stage before.
Wow,
and
wonderful.
I was taken aback because they weren't scared. They weren't nervous. And so I noted this while it was going on. I thought, wow, this is really quite something. Everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. And so then we started to do plays. Wonderful. And the first one was Our Town, which was a very obvious choice.
Sure.
My problem, in a way, is that, being my experience of the stages with opera, basically, and, just the concert platform.
Sure.
So I'm not very strong. I'm not very strong with the theatrical repertoire.
Well, but I think that myth has gone by the wayside.
Well, we've done, we've done some interesting things now. And
you've been invited to England to perform, right? The Sandisfield Players?
Well, yes.
On the road?
There is a fantastic, it must be one of the most exceptional open-air theatres in Europe, I think. And it's built into the cliff. These are big cliffs down in Cornwall, where I come from. That southwest peninsula, right on the tip, the southwesterly tip of England. And it's beautiful coastline. And wonderful beaches, clipped by the Gulf Stream. So it's quite a very moderate, it's a more moderate climate than most of the rest of England, as you go north. And there's this wonderful theatre which started as a little hollow in the cliff, and which has been built up by this rather extraordinary lady called Rowena Cade. And she built it all over her lifetime, started in her 20s, and was going when she was still 90.
Wow.
Right, with her gardener.
Wow.
And her gardener's son.
Wow.
And she built this place physically by cutting terraces into the cliff and building with cement, with stone and everything. And it's a most exceptional venue. And I've always known it, you know, being a Cornishman. In fact, when I go back to Cornwall, I kind of go there on a pilgrimage every time I go back.
Because it must be changing every time too, if they're continuing to build and develop it.
Yes, they've developed it just about as far as they can now, and it's being beautifully run. I go there simply because we think in life that, you know, what can I do? As a person,
sure.
You know, what can I do about what's happening in the world and all this kind of thing, and you know what? And this is an example of what someone actually did. This woman built this theater.
Wow!
And did it single-handed. And it's interesting because it's a receiving theater, and their season goes from April to October, and 22 weeks they have 22 different every week. A new play comes in, or a musical, or they even do opera there.
And when you say receiving, is that like presenting, where they don't produce the show, but they bring in companies?
Yes, they don't produce anything, and so everyone that comes in has to bring everything, you know, themselves, and they have to get it down there too, which is not easy. Oh, if they have sets.
No elevators, huh?
Yeah, no elevators.
Cliffside elevators.
And the back of the stage just drops straight into the ocean, right? It just drops down.
Is there a little railing?
It's very dramatic. No.
No?
No, the Brits are still very casual about these kind of things.
America, we always like have to triple protect everybody from everything, but most things. But.
So anyway, I knew the people down there, and I went. The director of the place is an old friend of mine. So I said, you wouldn't want to want an American company, amateur American company, to come over and do our town. He said, are you going to be in it? And I said, yes, I will be. He said, okay, you're on. And of course, I was totally taken aback. This was about 3 years ago. And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, why not? Why not? And so
I like I like that approach.
Well, the group is hugely excited, of course, because I mean they've still most of them only still been on stage 5 or 6 times, and so now we're moving into it's a mix of professional and very good amateur companies that come down to the Minack, and you'll see there during the course of the season almost anything, all kinds of plays, farces, lots of Shakespeare, Russian. I mean, you'll see all kinds of things there. Huge variety.
That's wonderful.
And our town is a play that's not so well known in Britain, and so I think what will be special. I'm a little scared of it, you know, to get my amateurs up to really we have to really get up to a good sort of kind of
level
good level, is almost not quite a professional standard, but not far short. But I think the appeal over there will be that there'll be Americans.
Yeah.
There'll be Americans doing their play.
An American story.
And companies don't come in. They used to. Many years ago, there was a company that came from Canada, but basically all the companies that come there are from Britain.
Oh.
And so this will be unusual.
And what month and year will you be there?
Last week in June.
Of 2016?
2016. And I will be getting very scared by that.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, that's so exciting, and you are such an amazing example of people that reinvent themselves and create wonderful things for the benefit of our community in the Berkshires. One thing I've always loved about the Berkshires is I feel like it's human scaled, so that an individual can make a difference by just putting themselves out there, taking a risk, and inviting other people to join them. And really, that's how OLLI started. OLLI, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, started about 21 years ago because there was a retired couple, and they were like, you know, we know in other communities they have these organizations and groups where they organize classes for people who are retired who still want to expand their mind and are infinitely curious about the world. So they said, well, there's not one here, so I guess we'll just have to make one. They had a meeting, and then they had sort of issued an open invitation for people who are interested. They got over 200 people, and then we were off. And at the time, we were called the Berkshire Institute for Lifelong Learning, and then 7 years ago, we received an endowment from an organization called the Osher Foundation in exchange for changing our name to the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. Right. And so now we're one of 120 Osher Lifelong Learning Institutes around the country. Wow. And the other requirement was that we become a program of a college or university, and so we became a program of Berkshire Community College. And we're actually one of only 3 or 4 OLLIs that are associated with a community college, right, as opposed to a college or university. Right. And by doing that, because so many of these types of lifelong learning organizations are, you know, are volunteer run and volunteer start and so forth, that by affiliating with a college, you know, you have the college provides us with IT and human resources, and very important space for classes as well as instructors, right, and all that. So it provides this great sustainability while we do what we do. Right. So it's a wonderful organization, and I love working for it. But it's really continues to be a volunteer-run organization. So it's the volunteers that schedule the classes, that teach the classes, like yourself, that edit the catalog, that put together the newsletter. So many different things. We have over 150 volunteers that are the engine of OLLI, and then I just help. Wow. And we have 1,000 members and 2 staff, so wow, that's all we can do.
I think this is very fascinating about America. You know, I came to America as a singer, of course. So America, I was no stranger to America, and because I came and worked with the symphony orchestras and so on and so forth quite regularly, and then. I came to live here in 2000, and it's very different from the America that I thought I knew.
Oh,
you know,
sure. From the stage?
When you settle somewhere, you learn a whole lot of things and that you haven't been aware of, obviously.
Sure.
And what's interesting is that there is a huge amount, as you say, of volunteer things which are driven by and volunteers. There's no other way of doing it.
Right.
And there's so much more, I mean, in compared to Britain, charitable organizations, of course they are there, but not to the extent that there is in this country. And people in general aren't used to it, aren't used to giving in the same way that people are here.
Interesting.
And they don't volunteer because I think the welfare state has provided so much. Right? I mean, for instance, you know, all these small towns run by selectmen and volunteers. I mean, wow. I mean,
that's not a fun job.
That in this day and age, that is becoming very tough.
Right.
You know, it's a big responsibility.
Or the Board of Health.
Yeah, it's difficult. Whereas all this is taken care of by district councils and things like that in Britain.
Interesting.
And it's very, very different. And of course, our art centers run entirely with volunteers.
Right, the Sandisfield Art Center. Yeah, that was completely, and all of that work was done by volunteers. That's wonderful. Well, as you mentioned, you are a singer, and your course is going to be about your life as a singer and also about the landscape of classical singing and how it's changed and so forth. Can you tell me more about what you'll be talking about in that course?
Well, yes, I divided up. It seemed to me, and you know, I'm not a musicologist, number one. I'm not a lecturer, number two, but I am and have been all my life a performer.
And a storyteller. You're an excellent storyteller.
Oh, yes,
which is kind of same as a performer.
No, I was asked to do this because some friends I met at the Mahavy, where we go and see all the relays from the Met Opera. I mean, and so I made friends there, and I think it was someone on the board.
Yes, Art Sherman.
Yeah, Art, and then Art said to me, you know, we've got this OLLI thing going, and would you come along? So I went and met, and I thought, okay, yes, I could do that. And so I divided my little course up into, first of all, will be just an outline of my career chronologically and how it happened and how I came into music and
And you had
so
a spectacular career also. You've performed around the world.
Yeah.
You are a famous baritone singer, and you are also, I have to read this so I get it right, you are a commander of the most excellent order of the British Empire. See, we don't have that kind of title in the United States. That's really fun. I like that.
No, we don't.
Did you guys hear that? He's a commander of the most excellent order of the British Empire. What does that mean? It means they think you're awesome. The Queen thinks you're awesome.
Well, there are various, I mean, every year, I mean, a number of people are given awards, and there are all kinds of levels of this. There's the Order of the British Empire. There's a Merit of the British, and so it goes. The CBE is Commander of the British Empire.
That's up there, right?
And yeah, that's up near the top. And then the next one is the knighthood.
Oh.
If you go on, if you would go up. And I think probably I would have had a knighthood had I gone on singing, had I not had to drop out because of my hearing.
Loss.
I would think so. It's not something I wouldn't have known how to have dealt with it, quite honestly.
Right. Being a knight, you mean? Would you have to get armor and stuff?
No, no, you do. You don't
have to carry around
You
one of
don't
those
have
big
to get
things.
armor. But I could tell you a very funny story about getting my knighthood. And one has to go to Buckingham Palace, and it's in the throne room at the Buckingham Palace, and the Queen is there.
For your commander, you mean?
When you're made a commander, and there's a whole lot of people. First of all, the knights are knighted with, down on their knees with a sword and all that kind of thing, and then comes all these other various people. And so we were instructed that you have to go up this small staircase, maybe 6 or 7 steps, to the throne, and the Queen is up there with the throne.
She has a throne.
There's a minstrel gallery going around. I've never forgotten this. The minstrel gallery, and there we all lined up, sort of, and waiting to receive our honors. And so in the meantime, there was a band playing all the way through this in a minstrel gallery going around the throne room, right?
Oh.
There was a small band, maybe of 8 or 9 pieces. I couldn't see from the Grenadier Guards or the Coldstream Guards or something. And they were playing songs from the shows because the Queen liked musicals.
Oh.
Okay.
So they were playing show tunes as opposed to
great pomp and all this kind of stuff was going on, and there was this music going on. And I remember when it was my turn,
right?
when it was my turn to come up, they were playing. They say that falling in love is wonderful, is wonderful. From Annie, Get Your Gun, And I thought this is kind of, this struck me as being kind of so bizarre. And so then I went up to the throne, and I'd met the Queen on various times at various performances before. But anyway, so there was an aide standing at her side and who said, "This is Benjamin Luxon, ma'am, and he's the singer," or something, whatever he says to her, because she doesn't know all these people who they are. And so she said, "Oh, Mr. Luxon." She said, "Oh, you sing?" So I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Where do you sing?" And I didn't have a clue what to say. Because if I said, "Well, I sing around the world, ma'am," it would have sounded very conceited. I couldn't go through a list of the places where, where I just didn't know what to say. It was such a bizarre question. So I heard myself saying, "Anywhere they pay me, ma'am." And then I was so flustered with what I said that I almost turned my back and started to walk down the stairs.
That's it.
But it was...
Did she laugh?
It was what?
Did she laugh?
No.
Oh.
She said, "Oh." That was the end of that.
Well, if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Ben Luxon, who's going to be teaching a course for OLLI in our winter semester, which begins January 12th. You can find our catalog online all over the Berkshires at the local library and elsewhere. You can also find it online at berkshireolli.org. If you'd like us to send you a catalog, we're happy to do that. Just give us a call at 413-236-2190. Ben is going to be teaching a class called A Singer's Life, which will be held on Thursday mornings. Thursday mornings or Thursday. Wait, I got to check the time.
Yes, I think we start on the 21st of January. And
yes,
then go
starting on
And we go on for 5 weeks.
Yep, January 21st. It's actually the afternoon. It starts at 1:30 p.m. And it's going to be held at the Whitney Center for the Arts, right in downtown Pittsfield on Wendell Avenue, a beautiful historic building. It used to be the Women's Club. If you're interested in more information about Ben and the class, let us know. You can go to the website or look for the catalog or give us a call. So Ben, sorry, and he is an amazing storyteller. So I highly recommend this course. So tell us more about what you'll be talking about.
We wandered off.
I love wandering off.
The first one will just be a map of my career and how it happened and where it happened. And then I thought it would be really good to go along and illustrate all the types of music which I sang. Most people now would call me an opera singer, but in actual fact, I wasn't. I don't think of myself as I certainly was an opera singer, and I sang at kind of most of the world's major opera houses. But I wasn't singing opera all the time.
Sure.
And in those days, I sang a balance of music. So I've divided up 4 of the classes into the song repertoire, which includes pretty well everything that you can think of in so many different languages, all types of the major streams of song, the German Lied, which is probably the really great one, and then some British song, quite good actually, and Russian song. I did not record French song. I left the French repertoire alone. I found the language very difficult.
But Russian, you were able to sing in Russian?
Yes, yes. Somehow it's freer.
Oh, interesting.
It's freer. And so there's a song, and then I moved to the orchestral repertoire, which is so much orchestral music written, for instance, like Mahler, the Mahler cycles Kindertotenlieder, Lieder eines Wandernden Gesellen, for a soloist with orchestra. And then, of course, all the oratorios, and the whole Bach, Handel, Mendelssohn, Brahms, moving right the way through. They all wrote oratorios. And then, so that's the orchestral repertoire, and then I moved to the opera repertoire. And then as a 5th program, I sang a lot of light music. And I had of course, my partnership with Bill Crowfoot.
Right. And he was a well-known folk singer from the Berkshires.
Banjo player, folk singer. And we did, for many years, a program of traditional British American folk. And we had a very nice band as well. And so that was great. I loved that. And then I never actually sang a musical, but I did, bits from musicals. And then there was all the, a tenor friend, Robert Tier, who's no longer with us, sadly. He and I were responsible for the whole revival of Victorian music in Britain. The music hall and the Victorian ballad. That was such fun too.
Wow.
So, and then I did some things which are almost pop music, and so there's that whole lighter.
Right.
And for me, I loved all of them. I think if I'd have been just singing opera all the time, I'd have been bored out of my mind. And likewise, if I'd have just been on the concert platform. But I loved the mix and of all that vocal music. And it kept me very flexible, both mentally and vocally.
Wonderful.
So that's what the course will be, the 5 talks.
So for people who love music, who love song, especially in the classical realm, and also, I think, who love storytelling and just learning more about another really amazing person in the Berkshires, I highly recommend Ben's class, A Singer's Life. It starts January 21st. It's going to be Thursday afternoons at 1:30 p.m. at the Whitney Center for the Arts. To sign up for the class, you have to join OLLI first, but our memberships are very reasonable, as are our class fees. Plus, we do offer partial scholarships for those who need one, and because we want to make sure that OLLI's wonderful programming reaches as many people as possible. We have over 1,000 active, engaged members who as I mentioned, volunteer in so many different capacities for OLLI, including teaching the classes. All of our instructors are volunteers, and we're really grateful to you, Ben, for volunteering your time and sharing your talent.
Well, it's just a pleasure, and I think it's I think it'll be very interesting. And of course, it will be illustrated with you know, recordings that I made, and also DVDs and film.
Wonderful.
I think there's a lot of that. And you know, basically, it's not. I'm not going to be teaching anyone anything, but I mean, people are more than welcome to ask questions all the way through. I hope that's what it will become, is a kind of discussion, because I'm sure people will be very curious about all kinds of things.
Sure.
Which they don't know. And I will obviously honestly try to answer whatever comes up.
Wonderful, because one of the things that our instructors love is how engaged our OLLI students are. They have a wealth of experience of their own. They're there because they want to be. They're not required to be. You know, OLLI classes have no grades or tests. People are just there for the joy of learning. So I think you'll find that the students and members themselves are both have a lot to offer and are very interested in hearing what you have to say. And now I think, and I just want to mention that I would love to see you teach a class on starting a community theater program maybe someday too. Just think about that. I know you're in the middle of it right now.
Oh, there's so many people that can do that so well here in the Berkshires. You know, when I think about Shakespeare and Company and all the outreach work that they do, and with the schools and with the high schools,
sure,
that's wonderful.
All right, well, that'll be a discussion for another day. But thank you so much, Ben, for
Megan,
being here, and
pleasure.
we look forward to seeing you next month at the Whitney Center for the Arts.
I look forward to it very much.